Welcome to The System Works, the lifestyle channel that shows you a practical way to live, the what's in it for you. The System Works. Own it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The System Works. I'm your host, Ernest Phillips, and today's topic, just knowing about this topic, I didn't really learn about until really about 5-6 years ago. So we are going to tackle something very difficult, very prevalent. We are going to do the seemingly impossible. We are going to show you how to end mom guilt in 2 steps. Okay, so if you don't know what mom guilt is, ask a mom. They have it. They all do. This is the one thing that seems to unify every mom. Now, if you've ever met a good mom, a great mom, an amazing mom, if you have one, they still have it. I've never seen or heard one that didn't have some parts of mom guilt. So what is mom guilt? Mom guilt is when they don't think they have measured up, when they have dropped the ball, when they didn't meet the minimum standards. I'm not talking about they haven't been Supermom, but that plays a role into it. When they drop the ball. So, what are the 2 steps? Number 1, change the definition, change your world. We are going to change the definition from mom to parent. Okay. Step 2, normalize good dads. Because dads are parents too. All right, so let's jump into this one. Okay, so the tug tip for step 1 is when the minimum standard is perfection, you guarantee failure. I have listened to moms and I've worked with kids, so I've had a chance to hear a lot of things. And it is honestly one of the cruelest, most horrifying things to hear women downplay how good of parents that they are. I'd be working with a child, we'd be making progress, and the only things that the mom would do is see where they possibly could have gone wrong or possibly did something. I'm not even talking about the things that they actually did, but it's I don't want this to go bad. I don't want that. It is this horrifying negative mindset of an evaluation. And if you tell them they are a good mom, this is the fastest way to dismiss a compliment. I mean, they have more blocks than you're going to find on a football field, in basketball. They have more blocks and barriers to reject any sort of compliment. And if you might slip one through, they'll be like, yeah, thanks, but. That's the most I think I've ever gotten is a thanks, but. So here's the problem with that. The minimum standard of being a good mom is perfection. And I don't mean perfection on one time or one day. Perfection in every single conceivable way that somehow you are supposed to be able to provide absolutely everything that your child wants and needs, but do it in a way where they don't get all their wants so they're spoiled, because then now you've just dropped that and you can't give them everything that they need because you have to let them work for it, but then you have to balance that out because if you make it too easy, then they won't learn or grow, but if you make it too hard, then you've challenged. You see where I'm going? And if you are a mom right out there, you just went woo, and I know it. And I'm not a mom. Trust me, I know I'm not a mom. I am a parent. So we'll come back to that. So here's the other part. Once they start judging themselves, who else are they going to judge? Every other mother. And there's going to be 2 types of moms. There's the moms that are doing it the way they think it should be done. And those are good moms. And most moms don't have that many moms that they think are good moms. It's a really interesting story. I've heard this, And it's like, oh, so how many moms do you think are good moms? And I've rarely heard anyone say, oh, a lot. They're everywhere. No, because they judge harsh on other moms because they see what they didn't do in the other moms, and it helps them feel normalized. Okay, good. I'm not the only mom that didn't do this. I'm not the only mom that didn't do that. I'm not the only mom, because if you judge me, if you find out that I'm not a good mom, translation, a perfect mom, you are going to judge me just the way I judge me, just the way I judge you. And it's this horrible scenario. It's not just a circle, it's an entire scenario. So how do we get past that? The step one, change the definition, change your world. Instead of trying to be super mom, perfect mom, be a good parent. A good parent is making sure their child is as healthy as possible, making sure the child is loved, making sure that child knows that you love them. That's being a good parent. Making sure you're doing things that have the best interest for the child. You're not going to always get it right, but your intention matters. So if your intention is, what do you really believe is in the best interest, you got a shot at doing something good. If you saw my episode on the things that matter, choices and intentions, man, this is where this comes into play. You're not going to get the answer right. And that is out of your control. But what you do have is you have a choice and you have an intention. So set your mind on what is a good parent. Now, for most moms, you don't know what a healthy standard of a good parent is because you are a mom and you see yourself as a mom. So I'm going to give you a story that happened about 5 years ago. So there I am as a step parent. And I'm learning. Like there is a fire hose coming right into my mouth and I'm trying to drink every drop. And so there was people coming over, and so I was vacuuming. And I was vacuuming because that was on the list that was given to me of things that I was supposed to be doing to help out. So I'm vacuuming. And I get done and she says, "Thank you for vacuuming." But it was weird. And it was like this splinter of my mind. There was just something about the compliment that didn't make sense. I said thank you, but it didn't make sense. And so it just kept rattling off in my head for a couple of days. And then finally it hit enough, and I went and I asked her, I said, "How often do you get complimented for vacuuming?" And she said, "Well, never." And I said, "So why did you compliment me?" And she said, "Because you did it." I said, "Do you ever compliment yourself?" And she's like, "No, because that's just something I'm supposed to be doing." Her standard is that's something she's supposed to do. But when I did it, it was a perk. It was this huge thing. It was, wow, way to go. And what boggled my mind and what really stuck in my craw was it felt patronizing. Hey, way to go. You vacuumed. You did the most basic little thing, even though I knew that wasn't her intention. So I took the compliment. But come on, let's raise the bar a little bit. Let's set the expectations a little bit higher. What else can I do? I'm pretty willing. I mean, I got a good head on my shoulders. So as a parent, let's up the game. So this is where we get into the second step. Let's normalize good dads because they're parents too. Now, I have been out and about and I have heard moms, I've heard dads, I've heard people talk, and I have heard some of the most lowest bar of expectations put on any human being is a man that is also a dad. We have some of the most lowest expectations that if we do it, people are like, way to go. And these are things that we would never compliment a mom on. How about some examples? Thank you for picking up your kid. Come on, man. I mean, seriously, that's a low bar. I had a car. I was available. I knew where my kid went to school. I picked them up. That's not a huge thing. Was it an important thing? Yes. Was it a good thing? Yes. Okay. Great job on getting your son food. I fed my kid. Wow. Look at me go. Dad of the year. Are you impressed? I'm impressed. Look at me go. No, that's not a big thing. It's an important thing. So, moms, anything that you have ever complimented or given credit to a dad for, it's because he was being a good parent. Every one of those is a good parent. That means everything you have done when you've done the same thing, and you've done it 100 times and he did it once, every one of those 100, you get to pat yourself on the back. You get to say to yourself, I was a good parent. I can feel you right now. I can feel so many of you. You are so uncomfortable. You are like, oh my gosh, there's no way I could give myself a compliment like that because I'm supposed to do it. If I don't do it and your brain is just off and running. Well, I'm telling you what, if you want to eliminate mom guilt, the first thing you have to do is absolute crazy talk. Lower your expectations and raise the expectations for the dad. I'm looking right at you. I'm waiting for that to settle in. And I know it's probably not settling in for a lot of you, but for some of you, it is an eye-opener. For some of you, you just said, wow, I'm giving you permission to lower the expectations of your standard. I'm not telling you to be a lesser mom, a lesser parent. What I'm telling you is you probably have been a very good parent this whole time and no one has given you credit and you haven't received enough credit. So let's change that. The second tug tip for this is don't let your gender get in the way of being a good human. A good parent isn't defined by gender. Because you are female, because you are a mom, doesn't mean you have to be a better parent. Let me tell you about dads. Let me tell you about stepdads. You know, one of the things that we don't do, we don't like to fail. We don't want to look bad. We don't want to be rejected. We don't want to lose your respect. We don't want to do it our way, the way we think it should be done, and then you come back and tell us that is not the way to do it. So we won't even try. If you want a good dad, you do the same thing that you would do for any good parent. You give them encouragement. You give them the steps based upon their skill set. You give them the jobs that they want to do. You give them the parts that they are good at and then help them get stronger in the parts that they're not good at. You let them practice. You let them fail in practice and then they will get better just like you did. There are a lot of men who want to be better parents. There are a lot of men who don't get to be good parents. I had a conversation with my dad less than 3 months ago where he talked about he wasn't even allowed to be in the delivery room. He wasn't allowed to start that connection with his sons that early. There's a lot of things dads have not been allowed to do. So we don't think of it. So let's change all of that. Let's normalize dads being good dads. Let's raise the bar in expectations, because this whole thing of letting dads babysit their kids, mind-blowing. The first time I heard that, I was stunned. I was speechless. Yeah, me, speechless. No words, silence. All I could do was just look, because nothing could have made more crazy of a thought than that. You don't babysit your own kids. They're your kids. So let's normalize good dads. Let's normalize moms being parents. So, as far as the action steps, change the definition, change your world. Be a parent. Just be a parent. Be a good parent. Put your kids' blessings first. Put their best first. And I guarantee you this. Your kids will be the number one benefactors of that. Because your kids see you beating yourself up. We know, we say all the time, kids see more than we realize. They see you when you're beating yourself up. You're not going to be at your best. You're not going to be as happy. You're not going to be as smiling. You're not going to be able to be as loving. You're not going to celebrate your wins. They want you to win too. So the number one reason, the number one Wi-Fi, what's in it for you is your kids are going to be better off. So have some fun with that. I look forward to the comments. I got a feeling this one's going to get a lot of comments from a lot of people because I'm hitting hardcore here. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon. We hope you enjoyed this episode of The System Works. Have fun with the action steps. Enjoy the Wi-Fis. Click like, click subscribe, and comment. The good and the bad, we like them all. We look forward to seeing you next time. The System Works. Own it.